Cons. Production may be cleaner than it ought to have been. Some of the songs have been overplayed. Perhaps it's not quite the piece of songwriting genius as many have claimed it. It's got nothing on the best works of Michael Stipe, for example, in the 1980s. It's better than Automatic for the People, frankly. The influence that this had on really neutering kind of alt-rock forever, it's difficult to forgive, but the quality of the music, I think, does shine through. The structure of this album, they attempted to repeat for every other big, every act that a record company tried to push as the next Nirvana. It attempted to mimic the Nevermind tracklist, which is to say, the Nevermind tracklist is full of more accessible, brilliant, and radio-friendly songs. I mean, he cut out a few expletives maybe here and there, and some kind of dark, morbid imagery and subject matter. Here's the thing, Kurt Cobain's actually a good songwriter, and his imitators were not. I'm not even a big fan. I think the grunge thing's such a narrow aesthetic. You can do well with Bleach, and I'm a huge fan of the Australian group Feed Time, and that kind of that group was really popular in Seattle, and the Melvins were just a worse version of Feed Time, and then grunge was downstream of groups like the Melvins in the Northwest, and so to me, I just go back to Feed Time. That's where I'm at. Sorry, Yanks. But I'll be real. The Nirvana albums, all four of them, I include Incesticide as the fourth, they were pretty great. In Utero might be my favourite, although this is a fantastic release, certainly also. Bleach was full of the angry, abrasive experiments, and then after getting that out of his system, he decided to do a more upscale kind of sunshine sort of album in the vein of the kind of sardonic humour of Michael Stipe or Frank Black of the Pixies, say. And, or some of what you were hearing on Sonic Youth's Goo, perhaps, in 1990. That's a great forerunner of a sound that would be very mainstream. You would almost think that, from hearing Goo, that, oh yeah, Sonic Youth, they're trying to, shape themselves up to fit the more mainstream alt-rock sound, and it's like, no, they're just preceding it. Sonic Youth are just always geniuses, to be honest. And rock music was never as good after Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth was just the be-all, end-all after this heat. And Sonic Youth were inspired by this heat, so, The sound became the grunge sound, it's just like such a... Oh man, it just became a vehicle for really bad kind of alternative country, I guess. That's what it sounds like to me. All like kind of crummy Pearl Jam stuff, all the bad Stone Temple Pilots. Like, I really don't like any of these bands. Alice in Chains, I'm not the biggest Alice in Chains fan, but I can respect Alice in Chains. Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger I like. Super Unknown. Super Unknown has a song called Like Suicide, which I think is phenomenal and sad. But I'm not the biggest fan of the rest of that album. I think it was one of the most sincere and captivating, personal, enjoyable, idiosyncratic statements in the history of rock albums, and unfortunately everyone realized that, and it probably assisted in the spiral that followed. The idea of people not giving a damn in the 1980s, I suspect it still entailed a certain, giving off some sort of impression, trying to impress someone or other, I don't care what people, and then don't give a damn, and they're still wrecking shit up or whatever. But then this idea became really popular. Kurt Cobain's take on I don't give a damn was really philosophical and nihilistic, and that was realer, and that was captivating to the people who really didn't give a damn. What became the more pronounced and popular takeaway culturally of Gen X, the kind of apathy and ambivalence which they became, the kind of Daria generation shtick. I examine it, I shrug my shoulders, I think, yeah, you know what, it's a good album. I think there was a backlash toward it from people who were alive before it, and I think some of us who were much younger than it became kind of annoyed with its prevalence as a kind of, I don't know, almost like it was a boomer album, even though boomers weren't necessarily the ones championing it, more Gen X / millennials. And I think people who were around at the time of it, who were more into different bands, became sick of it. Maybe they were more into the British acts, Blur, Suede, and Oasis. I don't know how you could be into Oasis personally, but, to each their own. And, so they're dismissive of Nirvana by comparison. I don't know, I think it's good stuff. The other major con here is that it's just never not a bummer to listen to this band, to be honest. But that's not its fault, that's not a real con. A powerful work of art. in any case, in any circumstance, I think.